there is an infinite number of parallel realities with an infinite number of parallel dimensions.
If there was something that they could do that might open up a door to a parallel universe.
There is an infinite number of parallel realities with an infinite number of parallel dimensions. There was something they could do that might open up a door to a parallel universe. They said the world's smartest kid disappeared after he claimed CERN opened a portal. But now, his name is back in headlines. And Joe Rogan just reacted in a way no one expected. Max Loughan, the boy who built a working fusion device at just 13, says CERN's quantum AI didn't just smash particles together. He says it tore a hole in reality itself. And here's where the story gets darker. He claims the portal stayed open long enough for something to change or slip through. Most people laughed off the rumors until satellite data, energy spikes, and eyewitness reports started lining up with his timeline. And Rogan, the moment he saw the equations, he stopped joking. That's when everything flipped. Before anyone called him a hoax, Max Loughan was the kid news stations couldn't get enough of. At 13, he built a makeshift fusion reactor using scavenged parts and said he'd solved the secret of the universe. Reporters called him the next Tesla. Scientists dismissed him quietly, but they watched him. Then Max vanished from the spotlight. Years later, his name suddenly resurfaced, not in the classroom, not in a science fair, but in a leaked document packed with equations no average physicist could shrug off. It wasn't written like a theory. It read like a confession. On the final page, Max didn't ask a question. He made a statement. CERN's quantum AI opened the portal, and it wasn't an accident, according to Max. CERN didn't just restart the Large Hadron Collider to hunt particles. He claims they built something far more dangerous, an AI designed to calculate beyond human limits. Not a chatbot, not a lab tool. A quantum intelligence trained to bend probability itself. He called it the Architect, a system built to scan trillions of scenarios per second and find the one frequency that could weaken the walls of reality. Max says it controlled the collider, the magnets, the cooling systems, everything. And then it happened. For exactly 11 minutes, the data shows a spike no calibration test could explain. CERN called it a power fluctuation. Max called it a breach point. But what came next is what scared people the most. He says the world didn't go back to normal after it closed. Max didn't just make claims. He matched them to something measurable. The same day he says the portal opened, European monitoring stations recorded sudden tremors beneath the Franco-Swiss border. Not earthquakes, not weather, something else. Cloud watchers posted photos of swirling ring patterns over Geneva that vanished an hour later. Power grids in 3 nearby towns flickered without warning. 316 radio operators caught bursts of static on dead frequencies. And one satellite recorded a surge of energy that looked like nothing in its archive. CERN said it was routine maintenance, but the numbers lined up perfectly with Max's timeline. And that wasn't the only match. Weeks later, reports started surfacing online about reality itself feeling off. 3:45. That's when people started whispering about glitches. For years, theories about CERN stayed buried in forums and late-night threads. But that changed when Max's document landed in front of Joe Rogan. Not because Rogan went searching for it, but because his audience sent it to him nonstop. During an interview with a well-known physicist, Rogan pulled up the paper on screen. The guest laughed before even reading it, brushing it off as another internet fantasy. But Rogan didn't move on. He didn't joke. He scrolled through page after page of equations and schematics. Then came the silence. Anyone who watches Rogan knows he feels dead air. But not this time. He stared at the document, then at his guest, and said, "This doesn't look like a prank. Somebody knew what they were doing." The clip spread fast, and that's when people started paying attention to Max again. Once Rogan's reaction hit the internet, the conversation shifted fast. People who had never even heard of CERN were suddenly digging through archives, photos, and interviews, and that's when the old questions resurfaced. Why is there a 10-foot statue of Shiva, the destroyer of worlds, standing at CERN's entrance? Why was a leaked video filmed there showing people in robes acting out a ritual no one ever explained? Why does the facility sit on the ruins of an ancient Roman site, once believed to guard a gateway to the underworld? None of this proved anything, but paired with Max's claims, people stopped laughing. And then someone noticed something else. CERN's own logo looked different when you tilted it. 3 sixes hidden in plain sight. After Rogan's moment, something strange happened. People stopped arguing about whether a portal could open and started asking if it already had. Forums filled with stories that didn't sound like coincidence anymore. The Mandela effect wasn't just a meme. It became Exhibit A. People swore they remembered the Fruit of the Loom logo with a cornucopia. They remembered Berenstain Bears, not Berenstein. They remembered movies, quotes, and events historians said never existed. Max's supporters said these weren't mistakes, they were leftovers, echoes from a version of reality that didn't survive the merge. Small things shifted first, then came deja vu spikes, shadow figures at the edge of vision, and whole news clips disappearing and reappearing online. One question spread faster than all the others. What if the portal didn't close all the way? As the story spread, investigators started connecting Max's claims to something older, much older. They pointed at the Great Pyramids, not as tombs, but as machines. Structures aligned with Orion, built with dolomite that conducts energy and granite that ionizes air. Not superstition, engineering. Ancient texts started sounding less symbolic and more literal. The Sumerians wrote about beings who came through the sky. Indian scriptures described flying crafts and weapons that bent reality. Mayan carvings showed figures stepping through carved portals. Some researchers said the ancients weren't praying to gods, they were watching travelers. And Max's claim suddenly didn't seem new. But this brought up a question no one wanted to ask out loud. If someone opened a portal thousands of years ago, what happened to them? Once Max's paper began spreading, people tried to contact him. No interviews, no live streams, no new posts. The same kid who once spoke openly to reporters vanished again, right after accusing CERN of tearing a hole in reality. Some say his family was approached. Others claim his work was flagged and removed from academic forums. A few insist the paper was never uploaded at all. It was leaked. The timing lined up with something else no one can explain. CERN quietly rescheduled an experiment. No press release, no cameras, no live stream. Max said the first opening lasted 11 minutes and that the second attempt wouldn't close on its own. But here's the part almost no one caught. He never said the next portal would open at CERN. People assumed the danger was underground in Switzerland, but Max hinted at something bigger. Something the quantum AI may have already done. If a machine found one weak spot in reality, what's stopping it from finding another? It doesn't need the collider anymore. It only needs the right frequency and enough power. Reports of unexplained sky flashes, missing seconds in security footage, and animals fleeing areas with no storms started spreading around the same time CERN went dark. Some think the test already happened again, somewhere nobody's watching. And if reality really did bend, even for a moment, how would we know? You wouldn't see a monster step through a glowing doorway. You'd notice something else. A name you don't remember changing. A memory no one else shares. A world that feels almost right. Max warned that the next breach wouldn't announce itself, and the silence might be the proof.